You are 8 years old, sitting at the kitchen table in your pajamas, watching your parent use a spoon, a flashlight, and a bowl of water to explain why the sky is blue. Other families say, "Because it just is." Your family turns breakfast into a miniature laboratory. The cereal is getting soggy. The tea is going cold. Nobody cares. Someone just said the word, scattering, with the emotional intensity of a movie trailer. You are not completely sure what is happening, but you understand one thing very clearly. In this house, the universe is not background decoration. The universe is a puzzle, and apparently your family has the cheat codes. Welcome to being born into a physicist family. Rewind to the beginning. You arrive in a home where the people look normal from a distance, but the moment you listen closely, you realize something unusual is going on. There are books on shelves with titles that sound like they could either explain reality or summon a demon. There are notebooks full of symbols. There are coffee mugs from conferences. There are magnets on the fridge that are not just holding up drawings, but somehow involved in 3 different conversations about fields, forces, and why your toy car rolls faster down one side of the hallway. Your first lullabies are normal enough. Soft voice. Warm blanket. Gentle rhythm. Then one day, instead of a fairy tale, your parent starts explaining that the stars you see at night are ancient light finally arriving after traveling across space for years. You are small, half asleep, wrapped in a blanket, and someone casually tells you that looking at the sky is basically looking into the past. That's it. Childhood upgraded. Most kids grow up thinking magic means wands, dragons, and secret doors. You grow up in a house where magic is real, except adults call it physics and write equations about it. Light bends. Time stretches. Invisible forces pull planets into orbit. Tiny particles behave like they have social anxiety and commitment issues. Your family doesn't need fantasy to make the world feel strange. Reality is already showing off. By age 5, you know that asking, "Why?" is not annoying in your house. It is encouraged. Dangerous, but encouraged. Ask why the moon follows the car, and dinner is delayed. Ask why a balloon sticks to the wall, and suddenly someone is rubbing it on your hair like a mad scientist with parental rights. Ask why ice floats, and now you are learning that water is secretly weird. Congratulations. You tried to drink juice and accidentally opened a portal into molecular structure. This is the privilege. Not money. Not fame. Not some shiny status symbol. The privilege is growing up around people who never treat your curiosity like a problem. They treat it like a spark. And they feed it. A physicist family does not simply answer questions. They build explanations around them. Slowly. Carefully. Sometimes with salt shakers. Sometimes with oranges pretending to be planets. Sometimes with an entire living room becoming the solar system because someone got too excited after dinner. The sofa is Jupiter. The lamp is the sun. You are Earth, spinning in socks, trying not to crash into the coffee table. Educational? Yes. Dignified? Absolutely not. Effective? Shockingly. You learn early that objects are not just objects. A ball is motion. A swing is energy. A mirror is light obeying rules. A fridge magnet is not a cute little souvenir. It is a tiny ambassador from the invisible kingdom of electromagnetism. You cannot even spill water without someone mentioning surface tension. At some point, you realize the physical world has no privacy in this family. Everything gets analyzed. Everything gets questioned. Even toast is not safe. Family walks are different too. Other families see a rainbow and say, "Pretty." Your family stops in the middle of the sidewalk like a government agency has just revealed classified information. Someone explains refraction. Someone else corrects the angle. Someone points out that each raindrop is basically a tiny optical device. You are standing there with muddy shoes, realizing the sky has just performed a full-color demonstration for free. That is the physicist family experience. Ordinary moments keep turning into backstage passes. You don't just see lightning. You hear about charge separation. You don't just hear thunder. You learn sound is traveling through air. You don't just stare at the stars. You learn they are giant nuclear furnaces so far away that their light had to leave before you were born just to reach your eyes tonight. Most childhoods have bedtime stories. Yours has cosmic scale. And it rocks. Because nothing makes you feel more powerful as a kid than realizing the world is understandable. Not easy. Not simple. But understandable. The door creaks for a reason. The bike slows down for a reason. The moon stays in orbit for a reason. The universe is not random noise. It is structured. It has habits. It has rules. And your family is teaching you how to listen. Then school starts, and things get interesting. A teacher draws a planet on the board, and you already know planets are not just round decorations in space. They are moving, falling, orbiting, obeying gravity with extremely elegant commitment. The class talks about energy. And you have heard that word at breakfast more times than you have heard. Clean your room. Someone mentions atoms, and your brain lights up because atoms are old friends in your house. Extremely tiny, emotionally unavailable old friends. You become that child. The one who raises a hand and says, "Actually," before developing enough social wisdom to know that, "actually," is a dangerous word. Your classmates may think you are showing off. You are not. You are simply cursed with dinner table knowledge. You did not ask to know that sound cannot travel through space. It was placed inside you during a family movie night when someone paused a sci-fi film to complain about the explosion noises. Yes, movie nights are intense. In a normal family, people watch spaceships explode and enjoy themselves. In your family, someone quietly sighs. Then another person says, "That's not how vacuum works." Then the remote pauses. Then there is a 10-minute explanation. The popcorn suffers. The plot dies. Science wins. And secretly you love it. Because your family gives you the rare ability to see through special effects. You start noticing when movies cheat. You understand why superheroes violate conservation laws every 11 seconds. You know time travel is not something to treat casually. Unless you want your parent to begin a lecture that could outlive the film itself. Entertainment becomes a two-layer experience. There is the story everyone else is watching, and then there is the hidden physics underneath, either behaving beautifully or committing crimes in public. Your house has its own kind of luxury. Not the gold-plated kind. The intellectual kind. The luxury of having adults around who can make invisible things feel real. Gravity becomes more than stuff falls. It becomes the quiet architecture holding everything together. Electricity becomes more than outlets and warnings. It becomes motion, charge, connection, civilization humming behind the walls. Heat becomes more than, "Don't touch that." It becomes energy moving from one place to another because the universe loves evening things out. Time becomes more than clocks. Time becomes a character with secrets. And the questions get bigger. What is everything made of? How did the universe begin? Can time slow down? What happens inside a black hole? Are we alone? Why does anything exist at all? Other kids ask these questions and maybe get a shrug. You ask them at the wrong dinner table and accidentally create a family seminar. Your mashed potatoes are cooling. Your parent is drawing space-time on a napkin. Someone says, "Imagine a stretched sheet." And now the salad bowl is the sun. This is not dinner anymore. This is a TED Talk with cutlery. Beautiful chaos. Growing up with physicists also teaches you that being smart is not the same as always being certain. This might be the biggest plot twist. You might expect a physicist family to be full of people confidently throwing answers around like royal decrees. Instead, you hear phrases like, "We don't know yet, that's a good question, it depends," and "The model works, but only under these conditions." At first, this is annoying. You want a simple answer. Is light a wave or a particle? Yes. Great. Very helpful. Thanks, reality. But over time, you realize this is a gift. Your family is teaching you intellectual honesty. They show you that not knowing is not failure. It is the doorway. Confusion is not shameful. It is where discovery starts. A wrong answer is not the end of your dignity. It is data with an attitude problem. That changes how you grow. You become less afraid of hard problems. You learn to sit with uncertainty without panicking. You learn that great questions can be more valuable than quick answers. You learn that reality does not care about your ego, which is rude but useful. If the experiment disagrees with you, the experiment wins. Humbling? Yes. Character building? Extremely. And then there are the experiments. A physicist family cannot resist a good demonstration. Balloons, magnets, flashlights, tuning forks, lenses, coins, candles, strings, pendulums, batteries, springs, paper airplanes. Your home may not look like a laboratory, but give it 5 minutes. Someone will find a way. One rainy afternoon becomes a lesson in waves. One broken appliance becomes a lesson in circuits. One bicycle repair becomes a meditation on torque, friction, and why you should not lose the tiny screw. You learn with your hands. You see things happen. You drop objects, spin objects, shine light through things, make shadows, build little contraptions, and occasionally get told not to put that near the outlet. Your childhood is full of moments where understanding arrives not as a definition, but as a click. The satisfying kind. The kind where the world suddenly becomes sharper. And your family celebrates those clicks. Not with trophies. Not with dramatic speeches. Sometimes just with a nod. A smile. Exactly. Now you see it. Physicists can be emotionally understated, but when they watch a child understand something real, their faces do a tiny sunrise. You learn to chase that feeling. The moment when confusion clears. The moment when a hidden pattern appears. The moment when the universe, for 1 second, lets you peek behind the curtain. That feeling is addictive. Teenage years arrive, and now the family weirdness becomes more obvious. Your friends come over and notice the books, the diagrams, the old conference badges, the suspicious number of calculators. They hear your parent explain Wi-Fi at the dinner table and stare like they have entered a documentary. Someone asks a simple question about why phones get hot, and 20 minutes later, your friend is nodding politely while silently praying for rescue. You are embarrassed. Then you are proud. Because slowly you realize your family is not strange in a bad way. They are strange in the best possible way. They are people who look at everyday life and refuse to let it stay flat. They add depth to everything. They can turn a shadow into a story, a magnet into a mystery, a night sky into a cathedral of burning matter. That is not embarrassing. That is elite. Not elite like snobbish. Elite like rare. Like being raised in a family of translators who can read the secret language of the physical world. Everyone else walks through the same reality. Your family hands you subtitles. And once you have subtitles, you can never go back. You start seeing physics everywhere. In music, where vibration becomes emotion. In sports, where motion, balance, and momentum decide glory. In cooking, where heat transforms ingredients like tiny domestic alchemy. In driving, where inertia quietly reminds everyone to wear a seatbelt. In architecture, where forces stand disguised as beauty. In your own body, where nerves, pressure, oxygen, and balance keep you alive with absurd elegance. The world becomes richer, denser, more alive. A physicist family also gives you a strange sense of scale. You learn that humans are small, but not meaningless. You are tiny compared to galaxies, yes. Extremely tiny. Cosmically ridiculous. But you are also made of matter born in ancient stars. Your body contains atoms with histories older than Earth. You are not separate from the universe. You are one of the ways the universe became curious about itself. Try hearing that as a child and then going back to worrying normally about matching socks. You still worry, of course. You are human. Homework exists. Awkward conversations exist. Bad hair days exist. But underneath all of that, you carry a bigger frame. The universe is vast. Time is deep. Matter is ancient. Problems are real, but they are not the whole picture. There is always more reality than the crisis in front of you. That perspective is a superpower. It does not make life easy. It makes life wider. And physicist parents, for all their equations and absent-minded habits, often give you another hidden advantage. They model obsession in a beautiful way. You watch adults care deeply about questions nobody forced them to care about. You see them wrestle with problems for days, months, sometimes years. You see them fail, revise, try again, get excited over tiny progress. They teach you that passion is not always loud. Sometimes passion is a quiet person staring at a notebook at midnight muttering, "Wait a second." That is its own kind of drama. No swords. No explosions. Just the terrifying elegance of a mind refusing to let go. You inherit that. Maybe not for physics. Maybe for music, business, writing, design, medicine, engineering, cooking, anything. The field does not matter. The pattern does. You learn how serious people chase understanding. You learn how to respect complexity without worshipping it. You learn that mastery is not a mood. It is attention repeated over time. And yes, you also inherit the jokes. Physicist humor is a special substance. Dry, strange, occasionally illegal under normal social conditions. Someone makes a pun about mass. Someone says a problem has potential. Someone laughs alone. You groan. They look pleased with themselves. This is family bonding now. There is no cure. But the jokes are part of the charm. So are the habits. The way someone draws diagrams in the air while explaining. The way a 5-minute errand becomes a discussion about GPS satellites. The way a broken lamp is never just broken, but an educational opportunity with a plug. The way silence at the table might mean someone is upset, or might mean they are mentally calculating something no one asked for. By adulthood, you understand the real inheritance. It was never the formulas. You may forget half of them. Maybe more than half. Be honest. It was never the technical details. It was the posture toward reality. The instinct to ask why. The patience to look deeper. The courage to admit confusion. The delight in finding patterns. The sense that the world is not boring. You are just not done paying attention. That is what rocked. Being born into a physicist family means growing up inside a permanent invitation. Come look closer. Come test it. Come doubt the obvious. Come notice the invisible. Come see how much beauty hides inside ordinary things. A glass of water. A beam of sunlight. A falling leaf. A spinning coin. A boiling kettle. A quiet star above the roof. None of it is plain anymore. And years later, even if you do not become a physicist, the family imprint stays. You still pause when light falls through a window in a certain way. You still feel a little thrill during an eclipse, a meteor shower, or a perfectly timed wave at the beach. You still become irrationally excited when an explanation clicks. You still hear your parents' voice somewhere in the back of your mind saying, "Think about what's really happening." So you do. You think about what is really happening. And that is the best part. Because most people grow up being told the world is complicated, and they hear that as a warning. You grew up hearing it as an invitation. Complicated meant interesting. Difficult meant worth exploring. Invisible meant not absent, just waiting for the right question. That is a magnificent childhood. Not because it was perfect. No family is. Not because physicists are always easy to live with. They are not. Some of them can misplace their keys while explaining the birth of the universe. But because they give you something rare. They give you a sense that reality is generous to people who look carefully. And in the end, that is a beautiful way to be raised. You were not just taught facts. You were taught wonder with discipline. Imagination with evidence. Curiosity with backbone. You were shown that the universe is not cold and distant. It is intimate. It is in your breath, your shadow, your heartbeat, your phone screen, your morning light, your childhood kitchen table. That kitchen table where a spoon, a flashlight, and a bowl of water could become a doorway. Other people remember growing up around rules, routines, chores, and ordinary afternoons. You remember someone turning the universe inside out before breakfast. You remember adults treating your questions like they mattered. You remember learning that the stars were old, light was strange, time was flexible, and the world was far more astonishing than it looked. That kind of childhood does not just rock. It bends space-time.